So 2 mana instant with Convoke. Your creatures can help cast a spell. Each creature you tap while casting a spell pays for 1 colorless mana. Oh no, 1 mana of that creature's color. Okay. And target creature gets +2/+2 in flying. Right. 6 mana, 3/4 pain cycling. Discard a card, search your library for a plans, reveal it. Put it into your hand when it enters the battlefield. Exile creature. Okay. Lifelink, no. Target creature, planeswalker you control gains protection. Protection from colorless and from the color of your choice. Oh, colorless. What? Interesting, but 2 mana, probably too expensive. Actually, maybe not. I don't know. That card is interesting. Too hard to evaluate though, because it would have to be in a meta where you can hold up 2 mana, or you have a card that can reduce the mana cost of that card. But pretty cool. Protection from colorless is definitely good. Archangel, Elspeth. I already went over this card before, but I think it's really good. 4 mana planeswalker, 4 loyalty, +1 goes to 5 loyalty, creates a 1/1, protects itself. -2, +2/+2. No, 2 +1/+1 counters on target. Oh no, it's +2/+2. Yeah. 2 +1/+1 counters. It becomes an angel and gains flying. That's really good. And then -6, return all non-permanent cards with mana value 3 or less from a graveyard to the battlefield is very good as well. So, solid card. Nothing super crazy, but I think it's reasonable and I think it's good. Yeah. Actually, let me move myself a little bit more. There we go. Okay. Attentive Sky Warden is whenever it deals okay. When you see combat damage on a common, that's probably 4 mana. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I'm rating the the commons, but yeah, give creature flying permanently is very good. Yeah, it's definitely a good card. I don't know if it's like broken, but Elspeth feels like a solid, very playable planeswalker. Hopefully not broken, but anyways, 5 mana, 4/4 flying for strike lifelink, backup 1, so you can put a +1/+1 counter on itself or another creature, and if you do put down another creature, it gains the following abilities. It gains the abilities on the card. This card is absolutely broken. It's not even legendary. It's just really insane. And I think white always should have a creature like this to stave off aggro, but the problem is white is really good in this metagame. I don't think it needed something like this. When rotation happens, maybe this will be useful. I always like that you have some kind of way to, have like that big creature that stabilizes you against aggro, and this is definitely that creature. So, and this is better than I think this is better than pretty much everything else that's come before it. Other than maybe Lyra, or I mean, they all have their specific strengths. I think this is the most flexible out of all of them. So, speaking from experience, I think this card is really good, and I love it. Cut short, convoke, destroy target planeswalker that was activated this turn or tap creature. Not horrible, but obviously probably not constructed playable. May I mean, maybe for planeswalker removal, it's not bad. So white doesn't really have that many ways of dealing with planeswalkers, so I would say it's potentially playable. I don't think it's a super good removal spell, but in the situation where you have no alternatives, or when your alternative is Fateful Absence, I think it's probably reasonable to think about it. Not sure if it'll see play, but it has a tiny bit of potential, I think. Dusk Legion Duelist, 2 mana 2/2, Vigilance. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Duelist, draw a card. That is very good. That is very good. I don't know if how easy is it to put +1/+1 counters on something. I mean, it is a soldier, so I guess that already sells it. Okay, this card's really good. Never mind. Since we already have the soldier that puts +1/+1 things on, well, puts counters on other soldiers, put backup on it. Well, it depends if there's a good backup card for it. So far, I haven't seen it yet, but Yeah, this card's solid. Very, very solid. Yes, yeah, Wandering Emperor too. Yeah, this is very, very good. Yeah, this is really good card. Um, Probably will see play over not seeing play. Like if I had to choose one or the other, but it also has to put like some. I don't know. It'll see play if there's a white creature deck that plays with plus one counters for sure. It might even see play in Soldiers period, but that deck is pretty contested already. Maybe a Soldier deck that puts plus one counters more than it already does. But this card is very good. It's not even legendary. Elishnorn, 4 mana, 3/5, and it has Vigilance. It's legendary, and whenever source an opponent controls deals damage to you or permanent you control, that source's controller loses 2 life unless they pay 1, and you can pay 3 to sacrifice 3 other creatures, exile Elishnorn, and return it to the battlefield transformed. Activate only as a sorcery. The saga starts with incubating 2 5 times. So incubate is every time you incubate, you make a 2 you make an artifact token that has +1/+1 counters. So here in this case, it would be 2 +1/+1 counters. So it would be a 2/2, and you can pay 2 and you transform it into a creature. So it does that 5 times. Then it transforms them without you paying the cost. So you're essentially getting 5 2/2s. And then you creatures you control get +1/+1 double strike, so you get a huge attack. You get 3/3 double strikers attacking, and destroy all their permanents except for artifacts, lands, and Phyrexians. Exile the Argent Etchings and return Elishnorn. And they are artifacts. I think incubate tokens are artifacts, so they will not get destroyed by this. So that's pretty good. So essentially, really broken transformation. Cost to activate very high. Baseline creature is solid. This will maybe see play. I would say the effect is strong enough to warrant trying to build around it. I don't know if that will be competitively viable in standard. But post rotation, with the power getting lowered, I would say there probably will be a deck where this is good and it will be a competitive deck most likely. You can just play like protection spells, so when you activate, they can't respond with a removal spell, and then it's probably fine. Elspeth Smite. 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature plus exile. I mean, exile is nice, but honestly, this card's not bad. This card's pretty good, actually. I like it. Enduring Bond Warden is common. Whenever this creature dies, put its counters on target creature you control. So yeah. Essence of Orthodoxy, 5 mana, 3/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, or when another Phyrexian enters the battlefield, incubate 2. Oh, it's a yeah, it's a Phyrexian artifact creature. Okay, so we see incubate here. Nah. Oh, but it has like infinite synergy with. Wait, transform doesn't enter the battlefield, so it would not just infinitely make 2/2s, right? Like it would not infinitely incubate because transform just. Wait, does no, transform doesn't enter the battlefield, right? So this card sucks, I guess. Very underwhelming. Not a big fan. That's meant to be bad. Okay, gotcha. I'm gonna take off my headset. Okay. All right. Golden Scale Aeronaut, backup 1. Jeez. Okay. Um, Guardian of Girapur. Girapur? Girapur? 3 mana, 3/3 flyer. And when it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 other target artifact or creature you control. Return to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So it's a 3 mana, 3/3 with flicker. And it's an angel. That's pretty good. I don't know. It's just good. I think if you're not getting value out of Flicker, you wouldn't play it. So the question is there a deck where you can use the Flicker and where maybe the Angel type matters? Right now, I can't think of one, but there might be a deck where that effect is good, and if it is a good effect, then this card is good. Too hard to know, really. Right now, I can't think of a 2-drop that you would want to Flicker necessarily. So it's probably maybe not standard playable as it is, but we'll have to see what else we have in the set. Heliod is a 4-mana 4/4 legendary enchantment creature god. When it enters the battlefield, return target enchantment card that isn't a god from your graveyard to your hand. And you can pay 3 and a Phyrexian blue, which means you can pay 2 life or blue for that Phyrexian mana. You transform it, make so it becomes a 4/6, and you may cast spells as though they had flash, and spells you cast cost 1 less for each card your opponents have drawn this turn. So on your opponent's turn, all your cards cost at least 1 less. I feel like this card is not good. Too slow, cost to activate is too high, payoff is not great because you're spending all that mana sorcery speed. You kind of have to tap out if they answer it. It doesn't protect itself. A 4/6 is not much more difficult to kill than a 4/4, so I would say probably bad. Infected Defector is a common, and I don't even think I have to read it. Incubate 3. Yeah. Creatures you control get +2/+1. Okay. Our first battle, we have a 3 mana. When Invasion of Belenon enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 white and blue knight creature token with vigilance. So 3 mana 2/2 with vigilance. You give the battle to your opponent. You have to attack it for 5 total damage, and you would get a War Anthem, which is just an anthem. Okay. So 3 mana 2/2. If you manage to deal 5 damage to it in combat, you get an anthem. That is, I think, very good. I think anthems are really good, especially with cards like Wandering Emperor, the new Planeswalker. So you can do this into Elspeth, give the token flying, and then you need 1 more damage, which you could have done on the previous turn when you played the battle. So you just need to do 1 damage, then you curve out Elspeth, you get +2/+2 flying, bam, hit it, and then you get an aura. And it has vigilance, so the creature will be back on block, so you have a 5/5 blocker. I think this is really decent. 3 mana 2/2 is not great though on its own. So I guess the biggest thing you have to evaluate with this card is, can you afford to play a 3 mana 2/2 when you have so many good 3-drops in standard? Post rotation, I would say yes. Right now, I would say no. So that probably means this card is actually not playable as it stands right now, but could become playable in the future, I would say. But it could also just see play now. I'm not sure. It's difficult to evaluate, because the 3 mana 2/2 is not that good. Another battle, Invasion of Galbakan. These are such weird names. Okay. 2 mana. When it enters the battlefield, look at opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it. As long as it remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast this way costs 2 more. It's a 3 toughness basically, or 3 life battle. So you have to deal 3. And you get, at the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 on each creature that attacked this turn and sacrifice this enchantment. Creatures you control gain hexproof indestructible. kind of similar to the previous card in a way. Two mana, tax your opponent's card by 2. The payoff is to not get a creature, but to get a buffing anthem. But you also get access to sweeper protection. Okay, this is pretty good, I think. I think the first part of it is decent, but wouldn't sell the card. But I think the backside, the second effect is what sells it. Yeah, I would say this is pretty good because Hexproof and Indestructible is really busted. So it allows you to have this in a sideboard potentially against like a control deck, and then you get access to like anti-sweeper for basically for 2 mana, basically. But it's good that it's a preemptive, so you don't have to like cast the spell in response to sweeper. You have that on the battlefield sitting there. So yeah, I think this card is good. Don't think it will see play in the current standard because the power level is a little bit too high. But again, it's hard. I feel like battles are difficult to evaluate. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it's actually really hard because I think the card is good, but I'm not sure it fits into the current dynamic of standard as it stands. But that might change with the set, or that will definitely change post rotation of standard. So kind of too hard to like exactly figure out if this is gonna be good or not. But yeah, it is what it is. I like the card. That's all I'll say. 1/3 double striker. Knight Errant of Eos. 5 mana Convoke. When it enters the battlefield, look at top 6 of your library. You may reveal up to 2 creatures with mana value X or less, where X is the number of creatures that convoked Knight Errant. 6 cards, reveal up to 2 with mana value X. This is really broken. Actually, I'm a little bit, I don't know. This is another card that is like near impossible to evaluate right now for current standard. I think the card is obviously really busted, but do we really have a deck that would be able to use this that efficiently? Soldiers, maybe? I think it would be good in soldiers, yeah. But I kind of feel like that's a little bit win more in soldiers. Could be wrong. There's no other deck that goes that wide and that would have creatures you would want to get from this. Yeah, I don't think soldiers needs a card like this, but maybe as a one of. There's no other deck I can think of because like you can imagine a deck that has like a bunch of token makers. But token makers are not necessarily creatures themselves. So while you might be able to, okay, let's say you play like a deck that plays a bunch of like 2 mana, create a 1/1, like make 2 1/1s. Even so, let's say you convoke 4, you can still get a 4 drop in its top 6, so it's a decent amount of cards that you're seeing. So at worst, you're getting a 4/4 draw a specific creature, which is not bad. I mean, the card is obviously like really broken. I just I can't really figure out where you would play it, but I'm sure somebody will figure that out, and that deck will probably be good. Maybe I don't know. Not sure. I don't know. It's really good card, but I can't like right now, current standard. I don't know who would play this, but if there's a deck that plays it, it'll be a good deck for sure. That's all I can say. Mono white aggro. Yeah, maybe with all the battles too. I don't know. Like a grindier mono white. It's a little bit weird because usually you don't want to go too far in the late game when there's cards like Farewell and stuff, but well, I don't know. It's hard to say. Okay, Yeah. So you get two twos vigilance. Okay. They're good 2 mana, 2/1/1s. Yeah, we have one card that does that, right? Just the flash one. Oh, no, do we have another card that's a 2 mana make 2/1/1s? Because that's obviously like pretty good. No, I think you know what? I'll say I think the card will see play. Like it's too broken to not see play, I think. If I had to guess, I would say it sees play. 3 mana, 2/2, prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you make a 1/1 creature token with prowess. Yeah, join the dance is not a creature itself though, so you would only be able to. So let's say you go join the dance and then you go convoke 3 mana thing, then you can only top 6 for 2 drops. Like that doesn't sound super good. I think it becomes good at like 3. I think it becomes good at convoke 3, so you'd have to play a 1 drop, and then you'd have to play the token thing, and then you'd have to hit a 3 drop. I just don't know how the deck building works in that sense, but if it does, it'll be good. Just not sure. This card is fine. I think it's not good in current standard, but post rotation probably will be good. I mean, you might even see play in. I just don't know how you could play like a 3 mana 2/2 baseline. It's so slow. When you have cards, yeah, when you have people playing Fable on turn 3, when you have people playing Rafine on turn 3, it's probably just not. It doesn't compete with those cards at all. The tempo of standard is way too high. This is like a post rotation type of card where the 3 drop slot is less contested and you can take more of your time. Right now, there are too many ways to either sweep the board, to go over the top of this with flyers, to just kill it on sight when it enters the battlefield with like cut down. But I think it's still a really good card. So, like the card is obviously strong. I just don't know if it's up to par with current standard power level. Probably not. But the card is obviously good, so it wouldn't surprise me either if it does see play. If it does see play, I just personally don't think that it will in the next format, or the deck that I'll be playing. The deck that it would be played in will just be bottom of tier 2 probably, just like kind of fine, but not not really competing with the top decks. Not sure. Norn Inquisitor. When it enters the battlefield, incubate 2. Whenever a permanent you control is transformed into Phyrexian, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I don't have enough context to know if that's good or not. Probably not. But interesting effect though. When Phyrexian Awakening enters the battlefield, incubate 4. Phyrexians you control have vigilance. So 3 mana, do nothing, but give all other Phyrexians vigilance, and then you pay 2, you get a 4/4. So 5 mana 4/4, all other Phyrexians have vigilance. I have yet to see like the synergy with the incubator tokens themselves. Once I see those cards, maybe that'll change my mind about this. So far, I actually think this card is okay. Obviously not great, not good enough for standard without the context of like maybe there's a way to like cheat transform everything. If that's the case, then maybe this is actually not bad. But obviously I would not want to spend 5 mana on a 4/4. But considering the potential like cheat effects for transforming incubate tokens, it has potential. Like the card is not bad, but it's definitely not. It's definitely underpowered. If I take it standalone, it's not good enough. 3 mana, 3/3. Each player can't cast more than one non-Phyrexian spell each turn. Non-Phyrexian creatures enter the battlefield tap. Eh. Tech card for non-Phyrexian spells. But if you're playing Phyrexians, this doesn't apply to you, so that's interesting. It's like a one-way downside. I just don't know who's casting 2 spells a turn. Like, who cares about casting 2 spells a turn? Not Grixis doesn't really care about a 3/3. Mono white doesn't really care. Esper doesn't really care. I don't see a use for this, but I like that it's here. I like that it exists, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be useful at all so far. Phyrexia Progenitor Exarch XX white creature 1/2 when it enters the battlefield incubate 3x times. So for 3 mana you get a 1/2 that incubates 1 time for 3. And you can tap it and transform incubator token you control. Okay, so there's one like cheat mechanic already. But when it comes in, this is not, I don't know, this is weird. I don't think this is not standard power level. This is, I feel like this is not a good rare at all. This is such an underwhelming card. 3 mana 1/2 that needs to untap and then tap itself to make a 3/3. I think we just have the 3-drop slot is just way too contested. Even like, no, this is just, geez, that's probably one of the worst rares I've seen. Unless, again, unless there's some kind of card that can match this effect in a way, but doesn't need the creature to tap. I don't know. This is just not standard playable on its own. Again, I can only evaluate it on face value, but yeah, 3 mana 1/2 is just yeah, not good. The incubator tokens are artifacts, or the Phyrexian tokens are artifacts? Because I didn't see anything about the incubator tokens being artifacts, but I guess they have to be. Do tokens have to be something, right? They have to be something, right? So they're probably artifacts. Yeah. Even considering that they are artifacts, I don't see. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, the text doesn't necessarily say that the incubator tokens themselves are artifacts. It says that the transformed version is a Phyrexian artifact, but I guess it implies that the previous version is an artifact. So I guess I should assume that they are artifacts. But either way, even if they are artifacts, I still think it's not a good card. Oh, it says transform this artifact. Oh, I missed that. Okay. So it is an artifact. I mean, it makes sense. What else could it possibly be? They have to have like some type of, it has to be a card type of some kind, right? 2 mana, enchanted creature can't attack, block, or its activated abilities can't be activated. Yeah, okay. Scroll shift, exile 1 artifact or enchantment you control. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control and draw a card. Artifact, creature, or enchantment. Not horrible, but it's 3 mana. But the effect is pretty good, I think. But 3 mana, no. Steal from existence is broken. But I mean it does cost 2 white. So 3 mana, 2 white total. Ward 3 and enters the battlefield, exile target non-permanent an opponent controls until Seal from Existence leaves the battlefield. So it's just power creep, but you know, it does have like some mana restriction with the 2 white, but that is not a concern in standard. So yeah, this card is very good. I don't think this is a meta game where we can utilize 3 mana exile spells when we have like Leyline Binding and Ossification, but I think the card is very good as a card, but I don't think it's very good in standard right now. But it will be post rotation. I think it will be pretty good in like an enchantment based deck, maybe. Not sure. I mean, obviously the card is really powerful. I just don't. It is 3 mana, so 3 mana removals are not great usually. Feed Pod. 3 mana 2/2. Put a +1/+1 counter on target artifact or creature you control. Transform target incubator token. 3 mana 2/2 flyer. Transform for 4 and a Phyrexian black mana as a sorcery. And you get 3/3. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature or artifacts. Okay, so this can sacrifice incubator tokens. If you do, it gets +2/+1. Wow, this card sucks. But it's a good draft card, though. It's not even that good of a draft card. It's kind of goofy. Depends on the power level of the format, I guess. 3 mana 2/2 vigilance backup 1. 2 mana 2/2 5 and Phyrexian red for transform into a 3/3. Whenever it attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of it. Whoa. Put a +1/+1 counter on that token and put for each +1/+1 counter on Furnace Blade Conqueror. What the? Okay, I mean, this card is obviously really good, but it's not like so far the uncommons are a little bit weird for draft. So like I can see this card is good, right, for draft, but 2 mana 2/2 until you hit the 5 mana, it's not really doing anything unless you have ways of putting +1/+1 counters on it. Even if you do flip it for 5, you're getting 2/3/3s attacking. That's not great in the mid game. Not for 5, not on turn 5. Your opponent should have better blockers. But if you can put +1/+1 counters on it, then suddenly that's scary. But still, I would argue that 2/2 lifelink might be better than this card in some cases, but you would still pick it. Either way, I'm not here to review for draft, but if I see an obvious draft card, I guess I'll talk about it. Sunder the Gateway. Choose 1, destroy target non-token artifact or enchantment opponent controls. Incubate 2. Okay. Incubate 2, then transform an incubator token you control. Nah. Sunfall. Exile all creatures. Jeez. Incubate X, where X is number of creatures exiled this way. I mean, this card is cool. I'll say that first of all. Uh, Honestly, I think this is just unplayable in standard, but it's sitting between two spells that are just better on average with Depopulate and Farewell, and you would not like if you're gonna play an effect like this, you would just play Farewell. I don't know what deck would really want the Incubate over just the flexibility of Farewell in general, even if it's 1 extra mana. And if you do care about that extra mana, then you probably care about it costing 1 more than Depopulate. And so the only way this is actually useful in standard is if there is a deck that needs exile, that needs things to get exiled, then you would play this in the sideboard. Because then the 1 mana less than Farewell would matter if it's a creature deck specifically. But yeah, otherwise, so unless you're playing exactly against a deck that needs you to exile multiple creatures, then this is just unplayable, I think. Otherwise, it's a good card. If that prerequisite is met, where you're playing against a deck that has a ton of like creatures that you have to exile, then this is a very good card. I would say it's insane, actually. Like it would actually be insane. So it's a tech card, and that's about it, I think. You and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Prevent all damage that black and or red sources would deal to creatures you control this turn. That's kind of interesting. So it prevents red sweepers for 1. That's not bad. And also prevents combat damage from red or black sources. That's interesting. That is very interesting. No, this doesn't do anything against Invoke. But yeah, this card's cool. Yeah, it's not bad. It's a tech card. All tech cards are useful at some point, but in general, not super useful. Swordsworn. Oh wait, does that give you hexproof? Wait. Oh, you in permanence you control. Okay, I misread that. I just read that as permanence you control. Okay, in that case. Okay, in that case. Uh. Okay, in that case, I think it's actually good because then there's some utility against mono red too. The thing is, I don't know if you would board it in against Invoke Despair. Probably. But it is kind of worthless if you're not if they never cast Invoke. This is kind of useless. But it definitely made it a lot better now that I know that it gives you hexproof as well. It's definitely a card that we'll see play then, because it's also good against mono red because it's really good at stalling. It's basically like gain like 5 HP, 1 mana gain 5 against mono red, if not more, if not like 4, 1 mana gain 4 is okay. It's a good card for sure. 1 mana 1/2 transform into a 4/3 with trample. Okay. 4 mana 2/4. Whenever you cast a spell that targets one or more permanents, incubate 2. Whenever another knight enters the battlefield under control, close the card. Okay. White. 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 Yeah, I think white got a decent amount of good cards. I wouldn't say it got anything super crazy, but it got a bunch of like really good additions, like good new type of effects that it didn't have before, that it might need in the future, that I don't think it needs right now, but the new Planeswalker is good, obviously. Um, some interesting battles. I don't know if they'll see play. An interesting tech sweeper, like an interesting tech spell against black and red decks. Overall, decent. I don't know. I'm not super excited about it. I think it's good. Good color. Or they gain some good cards, I guess. Okay. Stasis Field. 2 mana, put 0/2 defender, lose all abilities. 1 mana, convoke. Owner of target non-land permanent puts it into their library second from the top or on the bottom. But it's not spell though. It's sorcery. Okay, never mind. 6 mana. 6 mana. Thunderhead Squadron is a common, so okay. Tidal Tear. Whenever Tidal Tear attacks, you may tap 2 other untapped creatures you control. If you do, Tidal Tear gonna be blocked this turn. Island cycling. What? Discard this card. Search your library for an island. Why am I even reading that? Transcendent message. Convoke XXX. So X blue. X and 4 blue. Draw X cards. I mean, this is definitely not standard playable, but yeah, I don't know. I only care to evaluate for standard. It's obviously just it's ridiculous. Like the fact that you need blue creatures to remove the blue on it, and then that means you can't use tokens, which means it kind of beats the purpose of invoke in the first place. It's horrendous in my opinion. Wicked Slumber. Instant convoke, tap 2 target creatures, put a stun counter on each of them, then put a stun counter on... Wait, what? Put a stun counter on either of them, then put a stun counter on either of them. Okay. Did they have to word this like redundantly like that? But okay. That's kind of interesting. So you can put a stun counter on a single creature instead of putting it on each. These effects are not very good in standard, but in draft it's going to be broken. 3 mana, 2/2 Vigi, flying, tap, create a 2/2 white and blue knight creature token of vigilance. Activate only if you cast 2 or more spells this turn. Jeez. Okay. Distribute 2 counters among them. That would be a better thing. See that's I'm wondering why they had to do the second sentence exactly the same as the first instead of like combining both and creating a sentence that makes sense like that. Like distribute, but okay. Kind of like they already have distribute 2+1/+1 counters. Okay, anyways. This is interesting. The stat line is garbage, but this is a draft card. Okay. I like the effect though, but the stat line is just way too weak to be playable in standard. The prerequisite makes it difficult, so it would be for slower format, aka draft. 4 mana, 3/4 flying vigilance, convoke. When it enters the battlefield, put a flying counter on each creature that convoked it. Jeez, okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. Giving anything flying is very good. The fact that it also has flying and vigilance is very good. I don't know, this seems really good. Okay, maybe, you know what? Now I'm starting to see the light when it comes to that rare card in white that convokes and you find creatures. So you look at top 6, you grab 2 creatures. I think this would fit in that deck, maybe. Interesting. Maybe it was like a convoke value pile. Maybe? I don't know. Cool card though. I don't think it's broken, but it's cool. That's not a cool card. 2 mana, 4/3 until end of turn, draw. Whoa! I mean, 4/3 is not great, but draw a card though. Draft. Whoops. Artistic refusal. Wait, if I okay. Anyways, 6 mana, convoke, choose one or both, counter spell, or draw 2 cards and discard. I mean that's a good draft card, but yeah, okay. Assimilate essence. 2 mana, counter target creature or battle spell unless controller plays 4. If they do incubate, two. Yeah, I mean, why not? I guess it's probably better than Essence Scatter. Sure. Astral Wingspan. 5 mana. 5 mana, convoke, enchant creature, enters the battlefield, draw a card, creature has +2/+2 in flying. That's a lot of mana for this effect, but it's good in draft. Captive Weird. And it's a weird. Okay. A weird. 1 mana, 1/3 defender. You can pay 3 and a red for Extian mana to transform it into a 3/3. When this creature transforms, exile top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play that card. No. Couldn't draft though. And it is weird, yeah. Literally. Change the equation. 2 mana, counter target spell with mana value 2 or less, counter target red or green spell with mana value 6 or less. What the... Whoa. What? Hey, this is insane, no? Not sure how I feel about this card. I like as in it's obviously broken, but I'm not sure we need this in the game. I'm not sure we need counterspell hate for red and green. But I mean, at this point, we had Ether Gust, and that was broken. At least this is, I think, worse than Ether Gust. I don't know. They're both like pretty. I think this is worse than Ether Gust, but it's not that far off. So, oh, green gets creatures that can't be countered anyways. Well, I mean, I don't think that's the problem. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I hope it doesn't. I don't know. I hope it doesn't like annihilate those decks when it comes. Like if blue is good and the top decks are red and green, then that will kind of just like push out red and green in favor of blue, and it'll rotate. Like people will try to beat blue. It's gonna be weird. I don't know. I don't feel like this is that good in terms of game design, but okay, we'll see. I don't know. May give that more targets with multicolor cards. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the design. I hope it's not that good. That's all I'll say about that. I hope it's not that good. But you know, all some of the it seems like it would be good. So some of the tech cards they've introduced that hate on colors have been really good in the past, and I hope they learned a lesson. But we'll see. 3 mana, 2/4 flying. When you cast a non-creature spell, incubate X, where X is that spell's mana value. Ugh. Eh. I don't know. What 3 mana, 2/4 flyer is good with upside. Okay. The upside is not too good, but since it makes artifacts, I think we should not look at this as it making artifacts that turn into creatures, but maybe just that it makes artifacts at all. So it's a creature that every time you cast a non-creature spell, it makes an artifact. Maybe that's good. Don't know. But this is definitely Shark Typhoon baby version or something. I don't know. Actually, this is the shark in the Shark Typhoon. One of those sharks escaped the typhoon and lived its own life. Complete the circuit. 6 mana, convoke. You may cast sorcery spells this turn as though they had flash. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy it twice. You may choose neutral. What the? What? What? Dude, blue is getting so far from the blue rares have been abysmal. What is this? Wait, what is this for? What is this for? Like, what can you combo this with? Like an extra turn spell on their turns? You start their turn and wait, that doesn't even make sense. Like what? Oh yeah, I guess yeah. Okay, so it copies it twice. Okay, so okay, Giga turn spell. Okay, but why would you play this over just playing like Galvanic Iteration or I don't know, something else? Giga Invoke. Okay, what the fuck? I don't know. I'm probably missing something, but I hope I'm not because I hope this card sucks because I don't want it to be good because if it's good, it's going to be broken. So it probably sucks. That's all I'll say about that. Okay, I hope it sucks. That's all I'm going to say about that. I hope there's not like some ban take an extra turn token deck or something. I don't know. Like Giga token deck, token. Like what are you casting off of it? That's the question. I don't know. I mean, if it is broken, I don't know. I hope it's not broken. If it is broken, I'm gonna be sad because I think this kind of effect is very toxic for the game. But yeah, it's copy 2x. Yeah, yeah, you get 3 copies of the spell, so it's powerful. It's expensive. I don't know what the payoff would be, but Reanimator invoke tokens. That doesn't sound good. There's a blue battle that gives non-creature spells convoke on top as well. But I mean, token decks in general are not that good. They just get swept by brothers, and I don't know. I hope it's bad. It's probably bad. Let's just go with that. It's probably bad. I'm copiuming on this one. I have to hopium on that one actually. Okay, Corruption of Tawashi. 5 mana, enters the battlefield, incubate 4, and whenever a permanent you control transforms or a permanent enters the battlefield under your control transformed, you may draw a card. Do this. Wow, this is just terrible. Really good draft card though. White Sun Invoke. That means you're sweeping your own creatures. Anyways, I don't want to think about that Convoke copy card. I want to forget about that card. 2 mana, enters the battlefield. Each player mills. Blah 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 blah. Pharaoh's Dispersal. Spell costs 2 less. If it targets an attacking creature, return target creature to the owner's hand. Surveil 2. Nah. Defender, as long as you control 8 or more cards in the graveyard. Expedition, Lookout can attack. Blah 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 blah. Incubate 3, draw a card. Fairy Mastermind. Flash flying, whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. Each player draws a card. I mean, again, Flash 2-1 is like kind of good, so could see play. Doubt it, but could see play. It's not super good in standard though, but it was not built for standard. I know he designed that card for a different format. I don't know which one. I don't think was it Pioneer? I don't remember. They did him dirty. Wasn't he happy with that? I feel like he said it was a good card in a specific format. I don't know which one, but if he's happy with it, that's totally fine. He wanted a Thalia Hoser? Is that what it is? Okay, that's not a card. Halo, charge scab, blah blah blah. 4. Each player mills 2 cards, then you may put an instant sorcery battle card from your graveyard on top. Blah, 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 blah. The 8 mana mascot. 8 mana 5/5 Convoke Ward 3. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom. That's it? That's a rare? Wait, I mean, at this point, there has to... Okay. So here's what I'm guessing, is that they did a lot of testing, and there's a Convoke deck in blue that is actually good, which is why they're printing so many Convoke cards in blue that are super expensive. Because it's actually easy to Convoke, and that means these cards are actually broken. And I'm not seeing it because we haven't played in Convoke in Standard in like too long, and I'm not since I've played the game, basically. Since I started playing the game. So I might just be ignorant about how good Convoke cards are. I mean, I've seen one that was good. It was in white, but these blue ones, Like the white one, I saw it and I was like, that's a good card. These blue cards, I'm seeing them, but I'm not seeing them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, obviously I was being, yeah, obviously they're not testing shit. I know that. That was ironic. I don't know. I'm probably just wrong. That's I'm giving too much benefit of the doubt, I think. I keep doing this. I always fall into this where I'm like, okay, this has to be good because there's no way they just printed like 3 blue spells that are like that I think are bad in a row that are rares compared to like all the white rares that we've seen. But this card is just not like it's not exciting as a rare. It doesn't 5/5 Ward 3 is relevant, I guess. And then like no keywords. Look at top 4, grab 1. That's not even like okay, so like we have 2 mana, we can kind of do that effect, right? Like look at top 4, grab 1. That's kind of worth 2 mana. A 5/5 is worth like I don't know. I mean a 5/5 no keyword would not be playable. A 5/5 ward 3, it's like 6 mana. I mean a 5/5 ward 3 is worth like 4.5 mana or something. I don't know. So it's like we've had 5 mana 5/5 flying ward 4 dragons before that draw a card after they connect, and this is obviously worse than that. Well, in a way, but not counting this effect. I don't know. I'm done with this. Okay, screw that card. It's so underwhelming. Like, geez, this better be good. Invasion of Arcavios. 5 mana siege, 7 life points on this thing. When invasion of Arcaeus touches the battlefield, search your library, graveyard, or outside the game for an instant or sorcery card. Reveal it, put in your hand. 5 mana, search your library, graveyard, or outside the game for instant or sorcery. So very restrictive. 7. So you have to deal 7. And you get whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from hand, you may copy that spell. You may choose new copies for the target. You choose new targets for the copy. There's got at this point, there's got to be something I'm not seeing, right? There's no way we went through 4 rares and they're all trash. Okay, the copy 2 times spell is not trash, but I want it to be trash, so I'm gonna call it trash. But that was actually like a decent spell, I think. But I hope it's not playable. But this is we already have like in red. We basically have this card in red, but you just get the backside immediately. You don't get the searcher like 5 mana tutor, 5 mana tutor. That's expensive. That's insane. Even like 3 mana tutors are not worth playing in standard. Even 2 mana, where nobody's playing that black card that you sacrifice a card and you search your library. Like the backside is obviously like pretty strong, but you have to deal 7 as a spell deck. No, what? At this point, I think there's actually a conspiracy against blue now. I think there's actually a conspiracy against blue. Something's going on here. They're losing the war. They're losing the war. These are battles not worth fighting for. They made it on purpose. Invasion of Kamigawa, 4 mana, siege battle. Okay. Enters the battlefield, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. 4 mana, tap, stun counter. Okay, I mean, that's not bad because it allows you to attack immediately into a blocker because it would be tapped. So that's an interesting effect. The backside better be good, essentially. 2/3 flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Uh, mm, no. All right, let's say, okay. To evaluate this, I'm gonna do this. Would I pay for 4 mana 2/3 that taps something? I'm not gonna count the stun counter because that is definitely a good effect. 4 mana 2/3 tap something. Well, what about 4 mana 2/3 tap something stun counter? 2/3 flyer. I mean, I would maybe play that, but in what deck? Like, it would have to be an aggro deck. It would have to be an aggro deck. There's no other, like, so this is obviously played. If you're gonna play it, it's gonna be an aggro deck. So I would maybe pay that mana for 4 mana 2/3 tap stun counter. That's not bad. 2/3 is garbage stats, by the way, like absolutely terrible. And then when it deals combat damage, you draw a card. So I would maybe play a 2/3 flyer for 4 that taps. That's maybe an opponent and put a stun counter on it. So I'd maybe play that card, and this is worse than that card because you have to attack the battle. So you have to spend 4 damage to get the 2/3, which means it's not even a creature when you play it. That's good. It's got to be bad. Invasion is Segovia. 3 mana. Well, unless is it aggro deck or something? I don't know. Or like just unless there's an aggro deck that wants that effect, then sure. Okay, another rare. Oh god, buckle up. 3 mana. Create 2 1/1s with trample. That's not bad. So 3 mana 2/2. Why do they have trample? Why do they have trample? Oh, because there's stuff that can buff tokens. I know there are some cards that do that. Sea Tyrants. Non-creature spells you have non-creature spells you cast have Convoke. Give your end step, untap up to 4 target creatures. And you get a 3/3. So you're actually getting a body, unlike the other battles that are just like anthems and stuff. The Krakens are just okay. No, I mean flavor wise, I get it, but like, why do they have trample? They can't trample anything. Okay. Um, Poor Krakens. Okay. I mean, this has to be good, right? I don't really understand what deck would play this, but I think it's good. But like, it's kind of weird, right? Because here's the thing with battles. Somebody mentioned this before, that battles are really good for creature decks, like really, really good for creature decks. But this is not an effect that you necessarily want in a creature deck. I would say it's not too bad because you have a 3/3, but like the non-creature spells have Convoke, and the creature's untap is not relevant unless you're playing Convoke spells, which means you're probably playing a non-creature spell deck. Or maybe you're playing like a planeswalker creature, like a mid-range planeswalker deck. But I don't know, it seems okay. I wouldn't say it's broken though. It's just a good card, I guess. Also, end of turn, you can convoke for a very large amount. Yeah, but only on instance. Oh, but on non-creature spells, so on instance, yeah. But what instance would you really want to convoke for that much mana? I mean, yeah, okay. I think it's fine, yeah. It's a good card. Invasion of Rin. 4 mana. Enters the battlefield, draw 3, discard a card. Okay, that's actually okay. Overloaded Mage Ring. Sacrifice, copy target spell you control for 1 mana. Casting the blue convoke that lets you. Yeah, but it's too clunky. I think that would be too clunky to play both in the same deck, but maybe. Now maybe you play like green and you play token makers in green and white. You play Bant tokens. Bant token. The marches are good with that. Yeah, true. I don't know. Again, those convoke cards are just impossible to evaluate until we actually play with them. I think you can theory craft if you do XX thing like this is broken, sure, but what does that look like in practice? I can't actually visualize what that would look like. This card is this card is fine. This card is fine. Draw 3, discard 1 is good for 4. And then Mage Ring is good. So good card, I think. Yeah. Jin, 5 mana, 5/5 ward 2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, draw a card. So this is pretty good in like a convoke deck, right? And then 4 mana, exile Jin, return it under the battlefield under its owner's control. And you get draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand. You have no maximum hand size. Return all non-Phyrexian creatures to their owner's hand. You may cast any number of spells from your hand without paying their mana costs. Exile. The Great Synthesis, return Jin. 5 mana, 5/5 ward 2, activate sorcery speed and exile, not even in the cost. Not great. Chapter 1 is not great because you're losing the creature for that. Chapter 2 is not great. Chapter 3 is fine if you have a bunch of draw spells, which I'm assuming you do. So chapter 3 is good. And then it transforms, and then you get the effect of drawing a card. So if you get chapter 3, it flips back to the front, then you cast a bunch of 3 CMC or greater cards, and you... Okay. So much setup. But the effect is broken in the best possible world where nothing happens to you ever, and you're not dying. So if your opponent's not playing the game, then it's good. But if your opponent is playing the game, then it's not very good. I wouldn't say it's unplayable, but it's underwhelming. It's not... Probably wouldn't play in standard because standard 5 drops are way better than this. Meeting of Minds. Invoke, draw 2. Oh, whoa. Oh, actually, no, this is not good. Never mind. Okay, I was like, wait, that's actually good. No, it's not. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's not bad. Okay, it's not bad. It'll probably fit in that Convoke deck, maybe. Moment of Truth. Look at top 3. Put 1 in your hand. Other in the graveyard. Other at the bottom. Negate. Whoa. Oculus Whelp. Oculus Rift. 4 mana 3/2 flying as when as long as you control the transform permanent. Omen Hawker, 1 mana, 1/1, add colorless blue, spend this mana only to activate abilities. Whoa. That's not bad. This is the first incubator mana dork. So that means that you can, if you play this on turn 1, you play incubator turn 2, you can make a 2/2 immediately. Interesting, but I think it's too narrow for a mana dork. Usually you want consistency when it comes to mana dork, so I would say Maybe it activates something other than an incubator tokens, an incubator token. Maybe there's like some creature that really needs activate ability mana, and that would be okay. But it's such a bad top deck too. It's probably unplayable. Good in draft though. Very good. 2 mana, choose 1 discard card, draw a card, shuffle up to 3. It's up to 4 cards with mana value 3 or greater from your graveyard into elevator. Okay. 2 mana, 2/1 transform into a 3/3. When it gets blocked, that creature gets -1/-1. That's pretty good in draft. For common, whoa. Whoa, that's pretty good in draft. Holy moly. 3 mana, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1. That's pretty good in draft. Protocol Knight enters the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls, put a stun counter. Whoa. If you control another knight. Whoa, that's really good in draft. Damn, blue has a really good draft cards. 3 mana, convoke. What? Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Whoa, that's pretty good in draft. Actually, maybe that's good in constructed. I don't know. I don't know. That's cheap. Potentially. Nah, I don't think so. Herald of an Invasion, 2 mana, 1/3. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, untap it. Tap, draw, discard. Transform for 5 and a black for Phyrexian mana. In 2-way 5/5 trample, whenever a source deals damage to Rona, that controller exiles a card from their hand at random. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Jesus. Self-damaging fight spell. It's so expensive though. I think too much setup. But cool card, but oh, from their hand. Okay, it's not that good actually. Never mind. Sucks. Okay. I thought it was from their deck for some reason. I don't know. Backup 1, 2 mana, flash backup 1 hexproof. C double. This spell can't be copied. Okay, so you cannot use it with that other convoke thing. Choose one if an opponent has 8 or more cards in your graveyard. You may choose both. Copy target spell. Create a token that's a copy of target creature. If you get both, this is insane. That's probably a good card then. As long as you manage to get... Is there a mill in standard? I don't know. The card itself is obviously good. Can you make a token of the creature you copy on a stack? No. I still think it's a good card. A Traxa copy? Wait, but nobody's hardcasting a Traxa. You can copy the creature? Huh. No, I think this card's good, yeah. It's not very restrictive. Like, you have the flexibility, you can copy a spell, so it can be a creature too. It's just very, yeah, it's very good. Skyclave, yeah, like even copying shield at instant speed. No, that's got to be a good spell. That's got to be a really good spell. The flexibility is really impressive. That has to be a good card. Yeah, like copying shield red's really good because you untap first, right? Like they play it, you copy it instant speed, you untap, you get the effect. I mean, you get the effect, but I mean, they also get it. But I'm just saying, like, you untap first. Let's say they cast like invoke, you copy it, kill their creature. Let's say they cast like, I don't know, Cruelty of Gix. You can play Cruelty of Gix and then tutor immediately. I don't know. Pretty good. Pretty. I like it. Aerialist, 2 mana, 2/1 flying, transform for 5. Whenever it transforms, like a top card of your library. If it's a land, you may put it into the battlefield. If you didn't put the card in it, so draw a card. Oh. Okay, blue. Some garbage cards, I think. Some decent, if not good. Very few good though. Like I would say very few cards are I would consider like really good. A lot of garbage too, so and overall I would say disappointing. Okay. Card. Probably the copy thing. Yeah, it's mostly garbage, yeah. Mostly garbage in blue. I think the copy card is really good. I think it's very good. It's probably the best card. Second best is probably the battle, maybe. I think the battle's pretty good. I don't remember what else we had, but not much else. Alright. Aetherblade Agent, 2 mana, 1/1 Death Touch. Transform it to 5 whenever just go. Okay. Yeah, that's common for a reason. Archpriest of Shadows, backup 1 Death Touch. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or battle, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you can give backup to another creature. That creature will get Death Touch and the effect of dealing combat damage and getting back a creature. So pretty interesting. I still don't think this is that good though. But it's not bad. It's good, but I don't think it's broken just because Death Touch is not any evasion. Like sure it might force a block, which could be good. But if your creature's like a 3/3 and they have like a 3/3 and it just like trades. So it's situationally like really good upside. Otherwise it's neutral. Well, I guess it gets +1/+1, so I don't know. Let's see if you have a 3/3. I mean, yeah, it's good because of the +1/+1 counter. I guess it's good. I don't know when you would play this. Like where would you play this? Like usually reanimator decks want, so it would not be a reanimator deck. It would have to be just a traditional like creature based tempo deck where you just play creature, 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 and then they like somehow trade your creatures off in combat, or they remove a creature and then you play this, you put on another creature, attack, it potentially connects, then you get one of your creatures that died earlier back onto the battlefield. So interesting. That kind of deck doesn't exist in black, but it would fit in that archetype, and it's a good card by itself. So I mean, it's not that good by itself, but it would be really good in a deck like that. Interesting. Ayara is a 3 mana 3/3 with the tap ability, sacrifice another creature, and it deals X damage to target opponent, and you gain X life or X sacrifice permanent's mana value. You transform it for 5 and Phyrexian red. At the beginning of combat on your turn, return up to 1 target artifact or creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of your next end step. Nope. Bladed Fan Flash enters the battlefield. Blah, 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 blah. Blight Reaper Thallid. 2 mana 2/2. You can transform it for 3 and Phyrexian green, so you can transform on turn 3. When this creature transforms or dies, create it 1/1. That's pretty good. Draft. I think the blade fan equipment's decent. Oh, I didn't even read. Okay, wait. I don't know. Usually equipments have to be like really good, so usually it's not common in rarity. Attach to a creature you control. Flash, attach it. It gains indestructible until end of turn. It gets +1/+1 equip one. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not it's not a bad equipment, but it's not standard playable. But it's a good equipment. It's not standard playable. Sacrifice another fix. But it's definitely a good common equipment. Surprising, to be honest. Sacrifice another Phyrexian, put a +1/+1 counter on bulleted processor, so it's really good with incubator tokens. When it dies, incubate X, where X is its power. Okay. Damn. So the first 2 black rares have been like good cards, but they're so specific. This is like impossible to evaluate. I have no idea. But it's a no cost sacrifice. Like that's pretty good. That might be good enough. For what deck? I don't know. I can't think of a single deck that would play this. And stacking one creature is not necessarily that good either. Just dies to removal. But the fact that it's no cost is really, really interesting. I don't know. The death proc is Not sure. Feels like a good card that needs very specific deck building, so probably not very good. Breach the Multiverse. Damn, this artwork is cool. 7 mana sorcery. Each player mills 10 cards. For each player, choose a creature or planeswalker card in that player's graveyard. Or creature or planeswalker, put those cards onto the battlefield under your control, then each creature you control becomes a Phyrexian. 7 mana. Seven mana. The effect is like really good, but that is too expensive. Collective Nightmare, 3 mana convoke, target creature gets -3/-3. Nope. Completed Hunt Master, 3 mana, 2/3, 1 and tap, sacrifice another creature, incubate 3 4 mana, 2/2, lifelink backup 1. That's actually not a terrible draft card, but as an additional cost of spell, sacrifice creature, draw 2. Okay. Village Rites is back. Deadly Derision, instant destroy target creature, planeswalker, create a treasure token. Okay. Drag Recycler, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Okay. Familiar dies. 5 mana, 3/5. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. Choose target battle. If an opponent protects it, remove 3 defense counters from it. Otherwise, put 3 defense. Okay. Good in draft. 5 mana, -4/-4. When it dies, surveil 2. 2 mana, kicker, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Target creature gets -2/-2 if the spell was kicked. -6/-6. Fitting Gorilla. Oh, Flitting. Flitting Gorilla. What? 3 mana, 2/2. When it dies, each player mills 2. You may exile it from your graveyard. When you do, put target creature -6/-6 by sacking an incubator token is playable. Yeah, in draft it's really playable. I don't think it's playable in constructed though. Unless incubator is really good, which again I'm disregarding that archetype because it feels underwhelming to me, but it will probably like in that deck. Nah, I still think it's bad. Like you would still play a go for the throat, I think. It's a good draft though. Okay, exile it now. This is not. Nope. Glistening Deluge, 3 mana. All creatures get -1/-1. Creatures that are green or white get an additional -2/-2. Okay. A hate card for green and white. Yeah, looks like these Convoke decks are gonna have a hard time. I'm just saying. This is really good. This is a really good sweeper in that situation. Yep. That is really brutal for some decks. Gloomfang Mauler, 7 mana, 5/5 Swamp Cycling, blah blah blah. Grafted Butcher, 2/2 for 2. When it enters the battlefield, Phyrexians you control get menace, and other Phyrexians get +1/+1. 4 mana. Sacrifice an artifact or creature. Return target. Return Grafted Butcher from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's really good. This card's really good. It might enable Phyrexians to be good, like a Phyrexian incubator deck. I'm not sure, but this is like really strong effect. Like really, really, really good creature. It's not legendary. It's a Phyrexian itself. Sacrificing an artifact is with recursion from the graveyard is really busted. ETB threat, like this card is really insane in terms of like what lords are supposed to be Or from what I've seen, this card is like really, really good. Gift. It was that only as a sorcery or instant? Oh, it was only as a sorcery, right? That would be broken if it was instant. I'm pretty sure it's only a sorcery. Yeah, okay, jeez. Gift of completion. Enters the battlefield, incubate 3. Whenever effects in your control dies, surveil 1. Not great. Another butcher that I already ran. Boarding Broodlord. 7 mana. Convoke 7/6. When enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, exile it face down, then shuffle. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may play it. Spells you cast from exile have. Whoa. Whoa. Well, that's the best Convoke card we've seen so far, I think. Like, this is huge payoff. This is giga payoff. 7/6 flyer. Like, that's way better than the 5/5. Just compare the blue Convoke card, the 5/5 Ward 3 to this thing. It's not even close. What is this? No, I don't think it's probably not playable on standard. I'm just saying, like, if you compare both of them, this is a way better card. How much mana would I pay for this and be like really happy? It would be 5 mana, right? So you need to convoke 3 creatures. That's not too hard. I would pay 5 mana for this. I'm not like, we have Cruelty of Gix. Cruelty of Gix is obviously a good card, but it's not a creature itself, and it doesn't come into play immediately. I don't know. The prerequisites are difficult. The fact that you have to convoke it for it to be like really good. I think at 6 mana, I would not feel too good about it. So yeah, you would need like other creatures. Obviously, it's really good with that battle, a 3 mana battle that makes Krakens. I don't know. It doesn't seem standard playable, but like the power is like really high. The power is really high on this card. The stat line is extremely threatening. It's a 3-turn kill on your opponent. Like 7 power matters so much. I don't think you guys realize how much like 7 power is ridiculous. If it was a 6/6, it would definitely be less good. No? The fact that this is a potential 3-turn kill on top of you getting a tutor is really interesting. Um, I would not. I think this is probably the most playable. Well, second most. I think the white one is really the best because the cheaper the convoke card, the better. Because usually, you don't want it to be too expensive because you want to get it out early. You want to have it be at a reasonable cost so you can cast it in a game even without convoke. This is definitely not that, but this is higher payoff than that card. It's not legendary. I don't think that matters too much, but sure. I just think the effect is very strong. The stat line is very strong. Unlike the 5/5 Ward 3, like it's actually threatening damage. So it's doing a lot. And tutoring for a card is a very powerful effect. And especially with the upside of spells you cast by exile have convoke is like a bonus on top. So it's not even just that. It has like an extra effect that synergizes with the fact that it also has convoke itself. So you're already playing a deck that can use convoke relatively well. I don't know. Gets copied by Kiki. Okay, Grixis convoke with Fable. I don't know. All I know is the card is broken, so but it might not be playable on standard. There's a lot of hate for like small creatures and tokens, so maybe you can never convoke. Anyways, Icar Shade. Beginning of your upkeep, if an artifact creature was put in a graveyard on the battlefield, put +1/+1, blah blah blah. Injector Crocodile. 6 mana, 5/5, incubate 3 when it dies, swamp cycling. A really good draft card, but Invasion of Eldraine. No, no, no! They're invading Bone Crusher Giant. What the? Not like this. Not the Great Henge. Not Oko. Okay. When Eldraine When Invasion of Eldraine enters the battlefield, each opponent discards two cards. No, I wait, who's invading Eldraine? The creature, the player casting this, right? We should all be playing Invasion of Eldraine at this point. Let's band together. I mean, as if your opponent plays this against you, are you even allowed to defend it? I think you have to let them like win the battle, right? Like you have to let them invade. It's common, like it's just courtesy, man. You just have to it has to go. Like it has to be destroyed. Prickle fairies. Flying at the beginning of each upkeep, each opponent's upkeep. If that player has 2 or fewer cards in hand, it deals 2 damage to them. Damn it, why is the card bad? Unfortunate. They had to redeem the well, that too bad the card sucks. So nobody's invading Eldraine. They're defending it. They should have made the card good to make people want to invade Eldraine, you know? Invasion of Fiora. Oh, I've already seen this card. So 6 mana, 4 life, 4 defense counters or whatever they call it. I don't know. When it enters the battlefield, destroy all legendary creatures, destroy one. Oh no, choose one or both. Okay. Destroy all legendaries, destroy all non-legendaries. So you can do both for a full sweeper. And then you can get, if you deal 4, you get Resolute Monarch. The 3/6 Menace Death Touch. Whenever it attacks, remove all counters from up to 1 target permanent. So really good with other battles. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you haven't been dealt combat damage since your last turn, draw a card and lose a life. It's funny that this is not a choice, so they can actually kill you if you're at 1 life. Okay, so sweeper with upside. The problem is, okay, good news. Good news is black has terrible sweepers right now, and this is the best one out of them. So this is the best sweeper that is currently available in just black. So as long as you're not playing white or red, which means that this might be your best option either way. But the bad news is it's 6 mana. In 6 mana, you need a really, really strong effect to warrant, like you can, like Farewell, right? Like that, it needs to be that level. Because Farewell sometimes is even too slow in some cases. Like sometimes it's too expensive, it gets countered, or you're already too far behind. And this is a weaker version of that by a lot, by really a lot. And if you're sweeping, that probably means you also won't have creatures unless you're playing like a specific deck. So like only legendaries, probably only legendaries. For you to be able to kill this immediately, it would have to be only legendaries. Then you sweep the non-legendaries and you go through, you hit it, you get a 3/6. The card itself is fine. So overall, the value is there, but I think the cost is too high. That's what I'm guessing on this. I just think standard is not slow enough to allow you to do something like this and reap the rewards. And even if you do flip it, it's still just 3/6, which is not that much pressure. It is slightly difficult to kill, but it's not like completely crazy. It's not like dominating the game or anything. It does draw cards sometimes. If I had to guess, I don't think we're going to be seeing this in standard. That's until rotation, maybe. Unless you win all battles. I know. It's definitely a good effect for your next battles, but I don't know. Sideable against Esper Legends. Why? I think against Esper Legends, you're dead on turn 5, so probably not going to work out too well. And they can tax the battle by 1-2 with Thalia, so unless you're playing like control, but if you're playing control, you're not going to be able to destroy the battle, so I don't know. Like you have to be playing a creature deck yourself to some extent to be able to even win the battle. It's too awkward, I think. Invasion of Innistrad. 4 mana, siege, 5 defense counters on it, so you need to deal 5 damage. Flash. When it enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -13, -13. So 4 mana flash removal. Interesting. Deluge of the Dead. When it enters the battlefield, you make 2/2/2s. Exile target card from a graveyard for 3, and if a creature card was exiled this way, make a zombie. Ooh. 4 mana removal. That's a lot. In standard, that is a lot. Where would you play this? I don't know. No, Thalia is not that much of a problem for mono black, but that's one part of the equation. Like you have to cut down literally every card they play. So you only have 4 cut downs. They have like a gazillion creatures that you have to cut down. Anyways, we'll figure that out when the set releases. If Legends is even still a deck, which it probably will be. Okay, 4 mana removal spell. Like pretty much hard removal. And then you have to deal 5, which means you have to be playing a creature deck basically. Otherwise you're never getting that. You make 2/2/2s, which is not super good. It's fine. Usually that's not going to impact the board that much. And then the recurring exile effect is expensive. It kind of has the same problem, I feel like, as the sweeper. Okay, best case scenario, you play 2-drop, you play 3-drop, you play this, kill their creature, attack, kill this battle, make 2/2/2s. So turn 4, you get a removal spell and 2/2/2s. Like that's really good. The question is, can you do that? I doubt it. I don't think you can do that. Maybe a sideboard card against specific creature matchups where they don't remove your creatures, so then you have more attackers potentially with like flyers. This is too I can't. I'll just evaluate it. If I were to play this in current standard, I would say no, this is unplayable. We'll have to see what the new set brings to the table in terms of like meta shakeup or anything. Invasion of Ulgrotha. 5 mana, 5 toughness siege. When invasion enters the battlefield, deals 3 to any other target, and you gain 3 life. Yikes. 5 mana, deal 3. And when you deal 5 damage to the battle and you win it, you get a 3/3 flyer. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter and gain 1 life. And it's a mythic? Yeah, it is a mythic, that previous battle in. Repurposing. 6 mana exile, incubate 3. Yikes. Is it instant? I mean, either way, it's not for standard. Destroy target creature that was dealt damage, draw a card. 4 mana, 3/3 menace. When it enters the battlefield, each player mills 3. Okay. 5 and white Phyrexian to transform into a 4/5 menace. When this creature transforms, put target permanent card with mana value 2 or less from a graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, that's a draft card. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. Okay, cool. That could be playable. I mean, those kinds of effects, the 2 mana 1/1s that discard a card have seen play, so I like it. It's anytime they add a new one, it's kind of cool to see. So it's totally fine. Gargantua, draw 2 and lose 2. Wow, that's a good draft card. Jeez. Pile on 4 mana, convoke, destroy target creature, planeswalker, surveil 2. Interesting. This is not bad, but I have no idea where you would play it. But I feel like the flexibility is good. The fact that instant is good. Surveil is a decent upside, especially if you have like cards like Underdog. I'm sure you would build your deck around it. I wonder, there has to be a deck where this is good, and in that deck this is very, very good. So on its own, obviously not good, but there has to be a deck where this is good. I don't know. It just seems too good to, like, once you get the Convoke out, good removal spell. I don't know. Render inert. Remove up to 5 counters for target permanent. Draw a card. Okay, so insta win a battle, draw a card. That's wow. And insta-kill planeswalkers. Okay. This is insane. Okay, this is like really insane in the sideboard. Holy moly. It basically, like, this is the only spell in the entire game, and since I've started playing Magic, that I've seen that can answer a planeswalker on even terms, so you're not losing card advantage. I don't think I've ever seen a card that does something like this for 3 mana. I might be forgetting a card, but this seems like this seems to be like the only planeswalker card, only planeswalker removal that actually doesn't lose value against them. Because every other removal spell is automatic loss of value, but this is not. But it's also 3 mana, so it's kind of unfortunate. But it has to be 3 mana because at 2 it would be broken. Overall, I really like that this is in the game. This is like necessary, I think, for the game. Kind of wish there were more things like this and less specific. Maybe like destroy. I don't know. I don't. I guess it would be so hard to design though, because obviously this is like as good as it gets, I think. But very cool. Very cool. Elder Spell. Yeah, Elder Spell was okay. Because I could kill multiple planeswalkers, that's where the upside comes from. But even then, you're not really going. You're going up on mana though, but you're not really going up on value unless you also have planeswalkers. So it's a little bit more complicated. The previous card that we just saw is more of like a 1-for-1, which is really cool to see. Planeswalkers need to be less good, or they need to be able to be like there has to be answers for planeswalkers that don't involve you losing card advantage. It doesn't really make sense. There's not much of a downside to playing most walkers. 1 mana, 0/1, backup 1, sacrifices creature, draw a card. Interesting, because you can put the +1/+1 on something else, then sack it for 1, but that's so narrow. I don't know. Seer of Stolen Light. 3 mana, 2/3 menace. Whatever one or more artifacts or creatures are you control are put into graveyard, surveil 1. Okay. Shield Red. Shield Red. I'm sure this is not as good as the 4-drop. 5 mana menace. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a non-creature token, a non-token creature, or a planeswalker. That's good. 5 mana exile it. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control only as a sorcery. For each opponent, destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker that opponent controls. So for 5 mana, you're losing the blocker, but you're killing something. Each opponent discards 3 cards, then mills 3. At this point in the game, probably doesn't matter too much. Put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. Okay, chapter 3 is really broken. Like really, really broken. But you have to pay 5 and then 5 again. Oh god. And then even if you when you pay 5, chapter 2 is kind of useless. You have to survive. I think this is like way too hard to use. I think the base card is okay. Definitely not standard playable. If you just count the card itself, like this is basically 4 mana shield red, but worse. Like way worse. And then once you activate it, it takes like 3 turns before you get like a huge payout. That's just bad. Okay. Yeah, chapter 2 fuels chapter 3 more, but that's not really the point. The point is that you have to survive an extra turn while it's not really doing anything to the board. That's the main issue. I think the biggest downside is just that you have to pay 5 sorcery speed and they can react to it. That sounds. It's not bad. Okay, it's not a bad card. I just don't think in current standard it would not see play. If the next standard format with mom in it is really slow, then Shield Red is actually insane. I think if the format is really slow and you have time is the key, right? Then the card becomes actually good. But that is not the case for current standard. You will be dead by the point that gets to chapter 3. And even then, there's Hearse. There's against Grixis, there's Appraiser, there's Trespasser being played. Like, I don't know. Oh, what? Did I just skip something? Yeah, I did. Okay. What was this? Probably nothing, right? Menace, blah, blah, blah. Okay. 4 mana, 4/3 Death Touch. Whenever it attacks, you may pay 4 if when you do return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. 4 mana, 4/3. The effect is good. 4 mana, 4/3 is so bad. I don't think that's playable, but the effect is really good. Is it even that good? It's not even that good. It's okay. 4/3 is just so bad. Like, it dies to Brotherhood's End, it dies to Braid, it dies to like every single blocker in the game, basically. That's being played in standard. It's tough. That's a tough sell. It's probably unplayable. Revelation reveals their hand. You may choose a creature battle card. If you do, that player discards that card. If you don't, incubate 3. So a discard spell that has some utility in the late game. Interesting. Probably unplayable because 2 mana is too much. Unseal the Necropolis. 3 mana instant. Each player mills 3. Then you may return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. A really good draft card. Vanquish the Weak. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less. Yikes. Okay. Alright. Black is okay. I think black is okay. Yeah. Nothing too crazy. Some good tech spells, like battles are not great, I think. Decent creatures. Not great, honestly. I don't know if it's better than blue. I think it is better than blue, but not by much. I think blue has like a better broken card. Like, blue has a better card than all of black does, but I think black overall has better cards. This is not impressive though, but I'm happy. I'm happy that for once, or not for once, but it seems like black doesn't have like that much. I think the best card they have is probably the Phyrexian Lord in that specific deck. That card's really good. The Butcher, I think, is really, really good. But other than that, not super interesting. Like, it's not standard power level as it is right now. Most of them are just too slow or require too much deck building, specific deck building. At least blue has like a really good instant. That copy the spell thing is so broken, I think, compared to everything black has, but it's not better than white. Black is not better than white, so I think black is like second best so far. But yeah, that's gonna do it for part 1 of this review. I'm not gonna review the whole thing right now. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. If you enjoy my content and would like to help me keep making it, consider joining my Patreon, where you'll gain access to a bunch of bonus videos, written sideboard guides, metagame tier lists, so for standard best of 3, for example, ranking all the decks, some game theory guides, as well as deck building guides, and other services depending on the tier, of course. Thank you to all the lovely patrons that are already subscribed, and I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one.